Hello and welcome to the OWL Recap, also known as the Overwatch League Recap. We are a talk show that talks about also known as the Overwatch League.
Dogs, apparently.
Whoa! We are a talk. Nope, I didn't have the stream muted, so I started just repeating myself. All right, we're gonna start over. All right. Hello and welcome to the OWL. Too much coffee. Hello and welcome to the OWL Recap Talk Show. Nope, I'm just going to keep screwing it up. It's okay. You can screw up the start. Hello and welcome to the OWL Recap Podcast, a show focused on the Overwatch League. I am BlazzinBob, also known as Bobby. I am joined by Mel, also known as Too Much Coffee. I'm joined by Mel, also known as Melissa. How you doing, Mel?
Hi, I'm good. Good to be here.
And we are also joined by Unreal. And we are also joined by former host on the show, Aid Morrow, one of the brainchilds of this entire show. Welcome.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for inviting me, man. It's been a minute, and I am super excited to return and catch up and talk Overwatch League.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, when was the last time you were on the show? Do you remember?
Season 2, or not season 2, stage 2.
Stage 2. Everybody does it.
Stage 2. I think it was like week 3 or something like that. So for the old listeners, just go back and listen to the old stuff. You'll then figure out who I am.
Well, we don't do this often, but what have you been up to in Overwatch since you were last on the show?
I kind of took a break from the game. You guys know it, just for personal reasons. That's why I had to kind of take a step back from the show. But recently, in the last couple seasons, I've been just kind of battling my way back up to Diamond. Obviously, this whole entire time, I've still been watching all the matches and everything. But aside from that, not really, not real too much. I mean, I haven't made it onto a contenders team or anything yet, so still dreaming.
Well,
Someday.
Someday.
I see you tweeting out at a lot of people quite often, so I know you're still active. And
I might get myself in trouble.
Yeah, I think today you were picking a fight with Slasher. You were picking a fight.
Well, I mean, I don't want to go too far into that rabbit hole, but I just feel like Slasher and Jake, I think his name is Jake, guy from ESPN. I always forget his name.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Jason, I think.
Jason,
is it
yes.
Jason Wolf?
Mm-hmm.
They were the gods of leaks, like pre-season 1. Like they announced everything. I mean, you followed them with a fine microscope, and now with like season 2 coming, I feel like Michael from Kangarn or Michael, whatever you want to call him, or just Michael, has got every leak like known to man, and they just, I don't know, they're not happy with my tweet, I'm sure, but it's like, come on, they're focusing so much more on these other competitive games, and there's no love to Overwatch, but it's just personal opinion, I guess. I don't know. I get a little heated on Twitter.
Totem corrected us. It is Jacob Wolf.
Jacob Wolf. Thank you, Totem.
JW.
Yeah. Shots fired at Jacob.
Not Jason. Jason's fine.
All right. Well, and I'd also like to start the episode off thanking our recap producer, Shazir. If you want to join Shazir in helping us fund the show, you can do that at patreon.com/owlrecap. Moving on to the news. Would you want to take this first one, Mel? Watch Point season preview?
Yeah, so even though the league doesn't start for 2 more months, a little bit more, Watchpoint is coming back and giving us a season preview It
today.
happened today at 4 Pacific time, and I didn't watch it, but I'm gonna.
I thought it
So,
was for tomorrow. What?
yep. Newsflash, guys. That
Oh
already
my
happened.
gosh.
Yeah, well,
That's fine.
yeah, you should be able to watch the video on Twitch.
So, yeah, so it should have featured guests, Nate Nanzer, some other team representatives, and then Puckett and Malik were on it. I think that's what they said were going to be on it. So I'm sorry if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think that I loved Watch Party. It was one of my favorite shows to watch every week, and I'm excited to see kind of what they come out with and what they had to say about the upcoming season. I'm sure it's nothing too exciting or malicious, but you know.
What'd you think of Watchpoint season 1, Justin?
Season 1, I thought was. I mean, first of all, the production value is insanely.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
I mean, you're talking about ESPN level type stuff, and I really respect the amount of um, like love they gave that show. I think with season 1, with how chaotic it was, I almost feel like the show was too chaotic too. Like we were trying to cover all these matches, we were trying to cover all these different things, and in addition to that, Watchpoint was another point of contention, and I felt like now going into season 2, I'm hoping that it's a little bit less chaotic with how many games they have to cover. I don't know. I'm very optimistic. I think it's going to be incredible, like it was last year. Um, I'm excited for it. I'm gonna go watch it right after we're done here.
There we go. Oh, Totem says, thanks, Totem. It's Wednesday. Okay, so I had the day right, Wednesday. I just put December 4th instead of December 5th.
Bob, you're muted.
So it's tomorrow at 4 Pacific time.
That's what
So
I thought.
everybody go watch it. Me too, but then I read that it was December 4th and I saw it was December 4th. Oh boy.
It might be December 4th somewhere.
Maybe.
In
Not
the
at 4
Philippines, it
p.m.
is.
Pacific, though.
All right, so Fanatics signed as the official retailer and like official retailer for Al. You have this written weird.
Oh boy. Way to.
So basically, they're just going to take care of all of your merchandise. So I assume that you'll be able to get your merchandise quicker than the 6 to 7 weeks it was taking last season. So I think this is a good thing all around. Maybe even cheaper prices because it's a larger manufacturer.
Well, it's a really big manufacturer. It
Super big.
yeah, it's like, I think one of the biggest sports realtors out there. And this is the first official esports league that's signed a contract with Fanatics.
Mhm.
And it's international, so everybody that lives outside the US should have a little better luck getting their merchandise. I think the quality will be better. I know that my Outlaws jersey that I got is kind of pretty
Falling
crappy.
apart.
Yeah, but
Mine too.
I think that this Fanatics has a good track record. Of course, everything's going to have some negative reviews, but overall, they do NBA. They do a lot of different major traditional sports leagues.
Yeah, I think my only concern with all of this, I always go back to the finances because that's, for those that don't know who I am, I used to be a financial planner. My concern when I saw that announcement immediately was what's going to happen to profit sharing, because these teams, all the teams, part of their revenue stream is directly correlated to the merchandising. So they make these deals, I'm sure, everything is fine. Obviously the teams approved it. There wouldn't be approved, it wouldn't be happening unless the teams approved it. But, what did that do to their profit margins? How is that going to affect everything? Is it going to make things better? I don't know, right? It's
Now,
just
Now, don't the teams have the right to make their own gear? Like, didn't Dallas
Yep.
Fuel just open up their own store?
same thing with Outlaws, and that's what I'm thinking. And what I find interesting is over the last 2-3 months we've seen all these teams come on board with their own merchandising. Um, Dallas Outlaws, NYXL's been doing it for a long time. I
You're
don't even
yeah,
know if it's
you're
available.
you're probably right. The profit margin is probably huge.
Yeah, well, it's massive. Like
Yeah,
look in manufacturing
compared.
now, it's insane. But I wonder because they're licensing it from Fanatics, I think they're called. I wonder how that's having an impact on their potential profits. Number one, but number two, what kind of cut Overwatch League is getting in that? Because I guarantee if they, or my thought process is if they brokered the deal, first of all, that company had to pay, an arm and a leg to Overwatch League. So Overwatch League got some prize for that for having exclusive rights for the licensing. But
Right.
number two is how much money is Overwatch League making per jersey versus the teams?
Now, if Fanatics has exclusive licensing, can the Overwatch League teams still sell their own merchandise?
Apparently,
Yeah, yeah, because
I
we
mean,
have a few of them.
we'll see
Right, but they're
season
not on
two.
sale yet on Fanatics.
Yeah,
So,
Oh, you mean
yeah,
through Fanatics? Yeah, I
right.
doubt it. It's probably
it'll
because it's
be a
supposed to
conflict of
be
interest to some extent.
it's supposed to be a 50-50 cut, right?
I'm saying,
Yeah,
can they still sell their own merchandise on the side? I don't think
yeah.
they can in
And
season 2.
that's what's going to be interesting is come season two. I would imagine the first day of season two, Valentine's Day, everybody's either going to be pulling that merch down, and you're going to be looking at buy. You better buy the gear now because it's going to be exclusive, or it's going to be some probably drama beyond the scenes. I don't know. My guess is it's all going to be 100% ran through this new company. I just hope
Yeah.
that the
Could be.
profitability is best for everyone.
Well, all we could do is wait and find out. So, moving on, Silk Thread retires. Uh, he took a so he did a huge tweet longer, and he basically mapped out why he quit. We put a couple bullet points down. He basically played with the Valiant and Gladiators season 1. He signed with the Chengdu Hunters for season 2. Now he says his reason for retirement is lack of enjoyment being a pro. He talked about 14-hour day practices, mental exhaustion, burnout. Talked about cultural differences between Western and Eastern organizations, work hours, privacy,
Western
living
and Chinese
conditions. Yeah,
specifically,
Chinese.
because that's what he was exposed to, I think.
And off days, work ethic, 100% Chinese comms. Pros of the Overwatch League. He's leaving it a better person. He's more confident, more outgoing. He's more open minded to what he wants to do with his life. Before he was on a path that he wasn't going to like, and the Overwatch League changed him. So these are the bullet points. I want to give Mel a chance to talk about him first.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things that I see here is that we've got Silk Thread, who obviously this was a big move for him. I think he enjoyed it, but I think it was exhausting and he was burnt out. I think he thought that going to the Chengdu Hunters in season 2 was going to be his rejuvenation, right? And he got there, and the work hours were 14 hours a day, right? There's not a lot of off days. He mentioned that the coach said that it was all 100% Chinese comms, not just during practice, but during the like VOD reviews as well. So making it so that he admitted, I mean, he was able to pick it up, and his listening and speaking of it was not horrible, but it did take more mental processing power to translate in his head every time and then translate and put it out in vocal language too. So that could have lent to the mental exhaustion. I think what he wrote was very well written and explanatory on what his viewpoint of it was without putting super blame on one specific person or organization, right?
Yeah, he didn't talk about what was right or wrong. He talked about what worked for him and what didn't.
Right.
And it was a very heartfelt tweet. What about you, Justin?
Well, Silk Thread, I was going into season 1. Silk Thread blew me away in the first stage. Like I did not see this guy come from anywhere, so I immediately became a fanboy as an LA native, and I followed this guy through his whole journey. So I kind of, seeing him write that was a little not upsetting, but just kind of like, you know, it makes sense, right? Like
It's
you
kind of
see his
like how I
grind.
felt when you left the show. It's kind of the
Somewhat
same
very
Makes
thing.
similar.
sense, but I'm angry.
I was
Yeah,
just sad. I was just kind
yeah,
of sad. But he leaves it on a happy note though.
absolutely. No, and what I was gonna really focus in on is this guy's 19 years old. Working 14-hour days for anybody of any age at the mental capacity that they are doing in the Overwatch League is taxing. So for him to not only work those 14-hour days, but also sit there and be ran through the ringer like the Chinese. Let's look at Shanghai. Dragons in season 1. Everybody was saying that they're working, way more than everybody else, and
Yeah, we talked about it.
I worried for that team if they're already 2 months before, they're boot camping and they're playing that much and they're, I'm maybe it's just a culture, right? And it's a cultural difference.
But I think we need to
Um,
dive deeper into that, right? Because if the expectations or the requirements for each team are so varied,
mhm.
It's
I don't feel
unfair.
like that's making a good league, right? Because it's not going to be easy to go from team A to team B anymore. Because
Well, the
every
thing was,
team, you
the
can't
thing,
require somebody to work 14 hours a day.
no, and what's crazy is he's gone from what Valiant to Gladiators. He's seen two different teams. He played with Korean players that didn't know a lick of English.
Yeah.
So his expectation going into Chengdu Hunters was clearly, you
Well, I
know,
mean,
something
so
that he did not sign up for.
so I was so the only thought here that I can come up with is we need a players union, or this is
Hell
not
yes.
going to stop. And it's not fair for Western teams to give their people the proper time off to enjoy their young lives and grow as a person, as opposed to play a game the entire time. Like imagine if we had to work constantly. I mean, it's just crazy. But then if they
I don't
don't
think
do
they get
that, they
paid
can get
overtime either.
behind. Yeah, and if they don't do that, then they can get behind. So there needs to be regulations on how much they can practice. I mean, it's
Right. So
in everything else.
Anders brings up a good point that there's been lots of talk about the players union. Anderson, Chad, who's not on the show, just throw that out there. But how there's been a lot of talk and it's been encouraged, but it's really the players that have to step up and do it.
Yep.
And if you think about traditional sports, the people who have stepped up and made players unions are
Definitely.
usually retired players,
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
right?
And
It's not active players. We're in year one. We've we have a couple retired players, which is weird,
well,
but
and
we're
then
still in the baby steps.
but then think about this. How do you get everyone to buy in when when players of different nations have different work ethics?
Yeah.
I mean, how do
Well,
you
you
talk them
can't tell me that
into?
every player on the Chengdu Hunters says, I love working my 14-hour days. I think it's fantabulous. You know what I mean? And the thing is that they can still work 14-hour days if they want to. They're not required to work 14-hour days, and it's not an expectation, right?
Exactly.
And you just have to make it so that everybody understands that everybody's going to be on the same page, right? If you guys want to practice off hours in your dorm rooms fine, go
Well, that was the
do
thing is they
pubs.
didn't even have dorm rooms. I mean, according to Silk Thread, they were like all
S-
sharing
It was like
living spaces
it was
with no
like
privacy.
your sorority sleep room is basically what it was, which I never
Mm.
liked. But that's, I mean, that happens in a lot of college, like a lot of sororities and fraternities. But I'd
You
think
weren't
that
allowed in
was
my sorority sleep room,
Well, I mean, this was just for the boot
pretty
camp,
sure.
though,
right?
right? I mean,
Yeah.
this was like you would have thought that everybody would have had their own, like, at least a little bit of privacy, maybe like 2 or 3 to a room at most. Like,
But wasn't it in China?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, the space is limited and it's a different price. You know what I mean? For the space we get over here, that's something we should consider there. When they come
they
here, then it doesn't make any sense. But
they just
over
spent
there,
$20 million or more for an
see,
Right.
Overwatch League team, and they're throwing them into.
I've heard that argument before. But don't they pay that over time? They don't pay it all in one chunk, right?
As far as I'm
Regardless,
concerned,
it,
I
it
mean,
doesn't matter whether they are
yeah,
have a loan or whether they paid it all at once. I don't think that matters. I think the fact is that you've got 10, 8 to 10 players, 12 players that you need to make happy, that you're trying to start a good team with, and you're putting them in a position where they have zero privacy, where they're working 14 hours a day and they can't even decompress on their own. I mean, there's got to be some give and take here. And I think that from, again, this is one player's opinion, but we've heard it before with, Shanghai Dragons. And I just think that there needs to be something in place. And I don't know how we get there, but somebody needs to step up and say, hey guys, let's all come together and figure out something, right? Like a representative from each region needs to come and discuss it with each other.
Yep, the
I'm
players need to come together right now,
But then we're asking
unionize.
what, these 19-year-old players to
to
come
be
together
involved.
and form a
The,
players union? Like they can
the,
barely even manage their lives right now.
the only person I can
What
think of
about Jake's mom?
I was gonna say that same exact thing. The only person I can think of would be Jake and his mom.
Jake's mom
Yes,
has got it going on. She could definitely do it, and she has a head on her shoulders like you wouldn't believe.
for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I think that's our best bet, and I think that's where we need to move towards, and that's what needs to be in all the players' ears. The problem is right now, I think it's only in the players' ears that are being quote unquote mistreated.
well, you got to remember too, this is a brand new team, and all these people are coming from contenders, so they're except for Silk Thread, right?
Right.
Thinking
They're
to
all just
themselves,
excited to be in the
"Oh my
league.
god, yeah, this is my
Yep.
shot. This is how things are." But
Right.
you
Silk
know,
Thread knows that it's not. But how are you going to
exactly.
convince all these other players to put in this extra work when they have a good life? They've got
They
a chef
just
and
have to pay their dues. They don't have to put in work. They just have to pay their dues. And then that forms the
somebody's got to
money
put
for
in
the
work.
legal representation. But the Overwatch League definitely doesn't. They would have put that off as long as possible. So I assume they're trying to work with the teams to get the best environment. But these are new teams.
Right.
Mhm.
And there was expectations at the beginning, and I think there is for the season, but I don't think there is for the off season and training, right? Because there was housing like restrictions and things that had to happen.
I disagree completely. I mean, you
Yeah, I
look at
don't think there
Tavik, and
was.
there was absolutely nothing that was in place. I mean, Boston Uprising, they were housing, they had, little mini, fake walls put up in between people's beds. And you look at Mayhem, Florida Mayhem, they were driving an hour and a half each way every single day.
Tavik was the bus driver.
Yeah,
Well, and they
like
did bring that up, and they
there was no
were
standard.
right, but they were building their new place and it wasn't ready yet. That's why initially they were
Uh,
driving from so far away. So, and I get that. And I do think that there was some expectations on living when you signed into the Overwatch League that you had to provide X, Y, and Z. But I don't think they anticipated people getting around that in certain ways, right? Because who knows? Maybe the Boston Uprising place was super expensive, but it was all one room, right?
Yeah,
Like
according to the
how do you make that?
according to the Florida Mayhem, they didn't know all of this was going on, and it was the middle management that they hired supposedly that just like stuff
Dropped the
fell
ball.
through the cracks. I mean, it was a brand new league. Like there was no guidelines on what each position should do. Staff your team however you want. There's no.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing like the Overwatch League before, so I have to give them a pass on that. But any team that doesn't do it right this year, then I might be a little upset about that. But the new teams, I don't know how they reach out to their competitors to ask them what they need to do. You know what I mean? So I just kind of
I
got to
mean,
give them a year to drop the ball.
most of the new teams have players that came from competitor teams, right? So utilize what you have and talk to your players. Say, hey, tell me about your experience with Gladiators and Valiant. Tell me what worked and what didn't. You've got these resources at your disposal. You're not utilizing them because you think you know better.
True. All right, Bell. We kind of got off on a tangent there, but
Sorry, guys.
no, I mean, I was expecting that. It goes back to what we called with the Shanghai Dragons when that first tweet surfaced, and he talked
Yeah.
about their practice schedule as if it was a good thing, and we were kind of just appalled. And so I thought it was good to bring it back. But moving on, we have some new team names. Do you want to tell us about these, Melissa?
We have the Washington Justice,
Dun
which is very
dun dun
funny because it looks like a
dun.
Captain America shield. It's red, white, and blue,
It does. It does.
very Washington-esque. So yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's not bad. It's kind of predictable, but I guess that's cool.
I think
mean-
that's the perfect word for predictable and
Right?
expected.
Like,
Dude. Like,
come
Well,
on.
and now shields up is already taken. You just do shield wall. Be like a green wall and a shields up like mixture. But I've been watching a lot of Viking shows lately, so it's on my mind.
justice is served is their whole hashtag thing.
Yeah.
So
I
we'll
th-
see.
I think they
It's a
should
tagline.
drop. They should drop the is. Justice served.
I agree.
I think
The
it's a little
is
late for
too
that.
much.
So
Hey, there are always redos. You can delete tweets. Then you can't. Then
No.
you can't find them. I swear, I've tried.
oh man.
So then we have the Vancouver Titans. Now this one is cool. Like some people have called it a Yeti. Some people have called it a Bigfoot. I mean, I am gonna believe that it's Kronos. The leader of the Titans, father of Zeus, since their name is the Titans. I'm gonna say it's Kronos. What do you
I'm
guys think of
pretty
it?
sure it's a Yeti.
It looks like a Yeti or like Chewbacca.
Okay,
True.
Chewbacca
Could be
is a
Chewbacca.
Titan, so I will take that. Chewie, it is.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Titans, I guess, is probably one of my more favorite names as it comes out. It's not like super original, but I mean, you go with original and you get like Excelsior and you're like, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like,
But by the end of the season, they had like some of the best branding.
right,
Everybody
because
that
they
everybody
changed
loved.
it and went by NYXL. That's
Yeah.
not fair. Their initial name sucked.
They were
Like, let's be honest.
they were for a short time Nixel, and some of the casters and stuff still call him Nixel.
Which I still think is weird.
Yeah.
I can't
It
do
is a lot easier than NYXL, but
But I will say thank you for the green because your color scheme is a little bit different than 90% of the teams now. That's awesome. I like the green and blue. The black on the green and blue is a little much for me. It's a little bit dark, dark, and dark, right? But
I don't know. It's very Seahawks ish, and I always like the
I-
Seahawks color rush colors.
I totally agree with you. Like it's the same exact color scheme as Seahawks, and I'm looking at the logo right now, just thinking to myself, Seahawks. But
yeah,
I thinking of the name, the Titans, I feel like I would have thought or that we would have got more out of the logo. Like I when I hear Titans, I think the football team, the Titans.
You mean you
You
think
know,
Yetis?
not yet, not Yetis, and it just didn't match.
That's the
Like,
first thing that comes to my
I know.
mind.
That's why I said I'm gonna say it's Kronos.
what were they thinking? Like, legit. I just was kind of taken aback. Like, okay, cool. I mean, it's dope, but
But
I'll
the
mean,
name
take
is
it.
definitely cool. The colors are
The
cool.
name's great. Yeah.
And we'll talk about who's on the team here in a little bit. But let's move on to the team announcements. And why don't you take that over, Mel?
Yeah, sure. So we have Boston Uprising has transferred Striker to the San Francisco Shock.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, I have two thoughts on this really fast, and then I'll hand it over. San Francisco, how many more DPS tracers do you need?
I know. They're just like
Right?
they just
Like, are you
must hate.
hoarding them? What are you
Yeah,
doing with them? Like, leave them alone.
so many
Second of all,
DPS.
Boston, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it
You have
was.
no answer here.
I don't think it was a
Well,
choice.
Well, it's always a
it
choice. He's
wasn't a
under
choice.
contract.
No, Stryker did not want to be on the team
It
anymore.
doesn't
He
matter.
was
It was
very
still their
clear about
choice.
that. They
Like,
would have just benched him and just paid his contract out for the next year. Like, as
I'm just
Huck,
saying,
what would you
don't give
do?
in to
You
these
know,
people.
do you
Yeah,
take that money and allocate it towards bringing on somebody else, or do you,
but who are you going to bring on? Like, your time has
it's too
passed. Like,
exactly. It's pretty late. in the
unless you
game.
trade for somebody, you have minimal options unless you're still on this train that you think you're going to find that undiscovered talent and put it all together again. Like, I just don't see it happening. I think Boston
They're in the
has
dumpster
failed
this year.
themselves here.
Yeah.
They were in the dumpster last year.
Well, no, let's
They
be
had
real.
one stage that was great.
Yes.
Before
I
that,
mean,
they
but
were okay, and
they
after
surprised
that, they were
everybody. Like,
right.
I felt like, stage 1, 2, it was a rocky start. Stage 2, they started picking up steam. 3, they did really well, clearly. 4, it was trash.
Right.
And it all goes back to synergy and people being happy within the team and all these issues that they were having. But let's be real, like, how many players from season 1 do they even have on their roster still? Like 2 or 3? And now they're going into their second season with, competing with most teams that kept a majority of their rosters and maybe traded 1 or 2 players. Like, they're starting over
Well,
from scratch at this point.
to be fair, they were really good at the dive meta, and then that changed, and then they were really bad. And there seemed to be a lot of controversy on the team, but either way, it didn't seem like they had versatile enough players, which is sad because their monkey diva combo was amazing.
Yeah, probably some like top 2, top 3. But I mean,
Right.
let's talk about Striker actually getting onto San Francisco Shock. What is Shock going to do with Sinatra at this point? Like, truly, he's going to be like definitely benched if we look at their history in season 1 of
Yeah, it's got to
how they
be
played people.
It's got to
Do
be
you think they're gonna
Architect and
play
Striker, right?
I would play Striker over Sinatra every day of the week.
I would
Yeah.
too, and I've heard a lot of things about Stryker or about Sinatra with his toxicity and
Attitude,
whatnot.
yeah.
That maybe it is a better call, but
Well, and in the World Cup, boy, he missed a lot as Zarya. He was often in front of his team. Muma would have survived many times if he had just bubbled. I mean, the World Cup viewer is pretty cool to see who's actually making mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sinatra is an incredible player. He's great on the rank ladder. Like, I mean, but now we've got 5
I mean they've got
DPS
5
on-
DPS, right?
Yeah, we're saying the same exact thing because
And-
it's crazy. Yeah, I
And
mean,
Sinatra
you've got
was a
Baby
great
Face being on the
tracer
bench.
player, right? He was a great tracer
he's
player
incredible.
because Tracer plays by herself a lot of the time. And so that's why he was so good. But playing with the team, seeing his Zarya play, like that's where I think he lacks.
well, that's the funny thing is Sinatra got famous from Azaria. So when he originally climbed the ladder, if you guys go back to the
Yeah, you're right.
historical, he climbed the ladder as Zarya and made a name for himself on Reddit as a Zarya player. And it just so happened that he took that same tracking skill right over to Tracer and dominated once Tracer became such a big. I mean, for what, over a year and a
Yeah,
half,
she
Tracer
was
was
the
like
pick.
she was the meta. Like if you didn't have a Tracer on your team, you're done.
Yep.
And
Oh, I
Zarya was
know.
no longer the big pick.
I'm quite aware of the Tracer meta
Well,
as
Especially
an
as a
Outlaws
war main.
fan. As an
Boston.
Outlaws fan.
Well, the bottom line is Boston's a lot weaker. Shock is a lot stronger. But moving on to the Dallas Fuel, they did end up signing DPS Zachary, like I mentioned they might do last week. Thanks, Michael. So, yeah, what do you guys think?
Melly can
Justin.
go ahead and go on this one. All right, I'll
I'm
go
so
first.
glad I'm not a Dallas Fuel fan.
I hate this move. I love you, Bob, but I hate this move.
It's because it's a stupid move.
I think
Now,
Zachary was
why
an
do you think it's a.
amazing. Okay, let's look at. I mean, Michael put out a great opinion on this the other day.
And
He was talking.
I like Michael a lot, but had to disagree with him on that video.
Are you
Well,
slightly biased?
No, I'm not biased. I just talked to Arrow, and I mean, he was a Genji, like he was a Genji main, and so he just happened to be able to flex to hit scan, and that's what they needed. He didn't show up at the World Cup, but it was his second LAN event ever. And the nerves were probably out of this world being surrounded by that
with
many people.
30,000 people.
Yeah, and I mean, he did look bad on Widow, on Watchpoint, Gibraltar, or was no, not Gibraltar,
Volskaya.
Volskaya. Yeah, he looked
was
really
a
bad,
low.
and he definitely after that fed, but just as much as Sinatra did too. And so I think I think it's not a bad move to have somebody that flexible, and he's young, and their
Do you
team is
think
pretty
they
old.
do you think they signed him just in case Effect says peace out again in the middle of the season?
That's
Possibly.
truthfully though.
I mean, they have a fairly overlapping hero pool.
Well, Effect if Effect leaves, okay, so Dallas Fuels season, if they want to be a championship team next year, I mean, just watch Effect stream. Just watch what he's been doing with Anna as of late. And yeah, he's one of the best players in the league, period. And so if he stays, that's huge. If Zachary takes over his tracer spot, then it's not so huge.
I'm still not a fan of the signing. I think Zachary came from a dominating team that was just mechanically gifted beyond the rest of the competition. I felt like he was on Fusion University before. That whole entire team was like an all-star lineup. You look at everybody else on that contenders team; they were picked up this year for Overwatch League. He was the last signing. He was the person that basically nobody wanted until the. I mean, well,
He
we
did
don't know
throw a
when.
dud at the World Cup. I mean, regardless of the excuses you could make, that still scares teams, especially with all the kids that came over last season and had so many problems leaving home, mental problems, just freaking out. You know, there was a lot of, especially DPS players that had those problems.
Yeah,
Okay, what about this, guys? I mean, Arrow we know has a, you know, good mind for the game and a good mind for developing players, right? What if he saw the potential in Zachary in the World Cup and his goal is to bring Zachary on to mentor him for next season,
Well,
right?
and he played for Arrow on Fusion University.
Right.
yeah. I mean, no. I will say this about the coaching staff of Dallas Fuel. Jane and Arrow are probably, in my opinion, the best Western coaches by far. Like
Oh
hands
gosh,
down.
yeah.
They're
Jade. I mean,
they know
Jade.
their the game so well comparatively to. I mean, don't get me wrong, like Deep all the guys, Krusty,
Yeah, I
they're
mean
all they're
Bishop.
all
There's a lot of
good,
great coaches,
Well,
but
when
but
we
their
talked
combo
to
is good.
yeah, when we talked to Arrow, Arrow said he's pretty sure this will be the only year that Jade is with Dallas Fuel because he's so good. He's going to be a head coach.
I believe it hands down. I believe it hands down. Unless Dallas ends up buying him out and just paying him as much as just to keep other people at bay. I mean, to
You-
have two people that good in their corner, coaching them is going to be so strong for their team. My
Very
hope is that
expensive.
I'm sure.
very expensive. My hope is that effect keeps an even a balance. I guess
Me
a balanced
too.
mindset and doesn't go off the ropes. And I've always been a Dallas Fuel fanboy because of envy. But I don't know. We will see with Zachary. Only time will tell, right? I mean, we'll see how this
Yeah,
guy
I mean, all
actually
these
performs.
players,
Only
no matter how well they performed in contenders, we have no idea what they're going to do on the Overwatch League stage. So we're going to get surprised by some, we're going to get disappointed by others, and some are going to perform exactly as we think, but we won't know until we see them.
I'm just saying Dallas Fuel is a championship team as long as Effect is there with their current roster. If Effect leaves, well, Arrow might have to pull some more magic out of a hat. But moving on, the Chengdu Hunters. Why don't you take this one, Mel?
I like how you didn't let me comment on the fact that you think they're a championship team, but we'll just let that one slide because that's okay.
It's a long shot.
The Hunters, I think they're a team that's rebuilding in the right direction, but the Chengdu Hunters, they have released their roster. So we have Tank Late Young. He's a Zarya Diva main, so an off tank. He played for Team CC in Chinese contenders, and we also saw him on the China World Cup team. And then we have Tank Ameng, which is a Diva Rhine Wrecking Ball main-ish, and he played for LGD Gaming in Chinese contenders. And then we have our third tank, who is a Zarya main, and he played for LGD Gaming as well. Moving on to support, they have a nice even 3-3-3 signing, not 7 DPS, so that's nice. So we have 3 supports.
Spread it around.
Right. Our first two, Kaio and Gary, are both Anna Zen mains. Kaio's from Team CC from Chinese Contenders, and Gary is from Lucky Future from Chinese Contenders. And then we have our, I'm not even, Yveltal, who is a Mercy Lucio Zen main from Lingan Esports in Chinese Contenders. He was also on the China World Cup team.
Can you say that name one more time? I didn't catch it.
Nope. Yep.
5 times fast.
Then we have our DPS. I might say this is one of the better DPS names I've ever heard, but his name is Bacon Jack. And he is a Reaper Tracer Hanzo main. And he is from Taiwan. So he's the only non Chinese player. And he played for Flash Wolves. Then we have Jinmu, who is Genji Brigitte Junkrat main from Moss 7 Club in Chinese Contenders. And then Yang Xiaolong, who plays Soldier and Tracer, and he's from Miraculous Youngsters.
Well, he plays Reaper too.
I know I left that off. So I know literally zero about Chinese contenders, so I cannot
Yep.
give my opinion on much of this. I do think it's interesting that Bacon Jack is the only one that didn't come from Chinese contenders.
I've seen some highlight reels of Bacon Jack, and he is a very good DPS. But aside from that, other than the Chinese World Cup team, I have not seen any of these guys.
Do you know if Bacon Jack speaks Chinese?
No freaking clue.
Why don't you know that?
Where's Volumil when you need him?
I know, right? He
The
will be
only
able to
guy
tell.
that I know that knows a ton about Chinese contenders.
Oh man. Oh, Totem says they all speak Mandarin. Yeah.
That's possible.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, I mean, that's good. Won't have a language gap and probably will work really hard.
Yep.
Okay,
All
moving
right.
on.
Hopefully
So
you don't work 14-hour days.
we got the Vancouver Titans. And it is official now. It is the full roster of Runaway with the addition of Hoorig, the one token season 1 guy.
Wait. Rappel is from Element Mystic.
Wait,
Not from Runaway?
Hoorig, yeah, Hoorig wasn't on. He played in the league last season.
I don't know.
Hold on for technical difficulties, folks. This will not be in the audio version.
He was in London Spitfire.
Yeah.
He was signed to London Spitfire.
Huh. Haha.
But before London Spitfire, I want to say that he was with Runaway.
Oh, he played for Runaway before.
He was with GC Busan. And he was with GC Busan.
Yeah, I knew that. Well, that's the roster he got bought with.
It says he was from Runaway.
No, so
Totem
here's the
in
thing,
chat
he got
is saying.
He got picked up in August by Runaway.
That's silly.
Is that the guy that was? That's the guy that was playing Minecraft.
No.
Remember?
He was dropped. He was dropped during season 1.
Yep.
From London Spitfire's original roster, and he got picked up by Runaway for season 2 Korean Contenders.
You're right. But he still
So
is.
He did play for Runaway.
Yes. And
But
played for
he
GC
still
Busan before
is the
veteran.
token season 1 guy.
Yes.
Yes.
So I was half right.
Right. So they did pick up Rappel from Element Mystic, who's a Zen main. That's
Okay.
the addition to the Runaway roster.
Well, let's do a runoff of their actual names. At tank, we have Bumper, who plays Ryan Winston. We also have Janu, who plays Diva. Wait a second. Nope, I'm thinking of Janice. Okay. For the support, we have Rappel, plays Zen. We have Slime, that plays Lucio, Mercy, and Anna. We have Twilight, who plays Anna and Zen. Moving on to the DPS, we have 4 of them. First one is Haskell, Genji, Farah, Hoorig, Tracer, Doomfist, Soldier, and McCree. Seaman Su, Doom, Hanzo, Farah, Zarya, Brigitte. Ooh, nice, well-rounded flex guy there. And then last we have Stitch, Tracer, Soldier, Widow main. At head coach we have Palilion, who formerly the head coach of Fusion University. The 2 assistants, first one is Yang. He was from Runaway. And then the second one is friend of the show, Harsha. Congratulations, Harsha. Come on to the show and tell us about it. What do you guys think?
By
Runaway.
the way, it was Yang 1, not Yang 2. Just so you know.
Yang.
I'm just kidding. I don't know if there's a Yang 2. It's just Yang 1 is his name.
I thought that was a typo.
Look at you. I make one little mistake, and it was like a half a mistake, and you're sitting here judging everything I write down.
Not judging, just weary of.
Oh, my God. You did the notes.
I don't know about you guys, but this excites me.
It excites me too.
I'm a big Korean Apex, fanboy from back in the day. For those that don't know me, like I used to stay up and watch almost every match live, and going into season 2 to see Runaway. For those that don't know the story behind Runaway, this was like the black sheep team that couldn't get onto a main roster, that couldn't make it into get incredible sponsorships as a team. Like they were just flying solo.
The head of it almost quit, but his wife talked him into like keeping going. Yeah, I mean it's a great story.
And to see them go, I mean they literally turned their team around from a team that was gonna basically drop completely back in season 1 of Apex, or sorry, in season 2 of Apex, going into season 3, and they basically, if for those that remember, there's a team that was called IDDQD back in beta and alpha. That team for almost a year straight won every match. This is the Korean version of IDDQD. IDDQD, by the way, nowadays is known as NV or Dallas Fuel. So this is like the Korean version of them. They were just a bunch of friends that made it work, that made it all the way to the top, that have always been together. I mean, the last time they had somebody actually leave the team was over a year and a half ago. So this has been like almost the same exact roster from day one of getting into the contenders scene, of getting into Apex. So it's really cool to see them get to the point that they're at. However, on the opposite end of the spectrum, now they're going into uncharted territories, and the teams that they were losing to, like, now Soul Dynasty, formerly, why can't I think of their name right now?
No totem's gonna help, but what is it?
I'll get it here. I'll get it here. Just let me...
You guys,
Lunatic High.
Lunatic High. Thank you.
Lunatic High. So, teams like Lunatic High, teams like GC Busan, teams like, Lux Watch, Lux Red, just Team Red.
Yep.
We're glad for these new names.
Yeah, seriously. I like Titans a lot more than all those team names. But teams that they could not beat back in the day all went to Overwatch League. So Runaway became this big, granted, Apex 2, Season 2, 3, going forward until they shut down, still had Lunatic High, still had, Sabiobi over there, and some of the big names that came to Overwatch League. But to see them on the same stage as these guys now is going to be very, very interesting. If this team, in my personal opinion, has a true chance at being top 3 this year. But I don't know. I'm just a fanboy at heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's really hard to say that they're going to come into the Overwatch League as a new team and be prepared to face the top tier teams from last season. Like, I know that they were good, but they were good in contenders, and it's a whole new beast. And we've seen teams like Lunatic High come in and fall on their face. You know what I mean? Like, the good teams don't always pan out when they get into this more competitive atmosphere, and they all move to America. How do we know that's going to affect them?
AKA Dallas Fuel. Everybody had slated Dallas as a top 3 team. Everybody had slated Seoul as a top 3 team. And where did they go?
Yeah, I remember I'd watched
straight to the bottom.
I watched the first Seoul and Dallas match in stage 1 just the other day. For some reason it popped up on YouTube while I was just like making food, and it cracked me up when they're talking about it. They're like, the biggest thing that's happened in season 1 so far. They are about to go on the Titans, the Dallas Fuel take on, they're just like so hype about it. Then like you just think to like stage 3, they're like, so yeah, I don't know. Do you think
Dallas
they can
lost again.
get it going? I mean, we'll see. But so we don't really know until they're in. But I think they're gonna hit the ground running.
No pun intended with their name.
Oh man.
Runaway.
And they lost their colors,
Run
guys. So,
away.
that's probably going to hit
lose
them
their
hard.
colors.
It's going to hit them hard.
I think that is a plus for them. They don't have to wear pink anymore. They have awesome colors now.
I think they
Dude.
began to be very confident in their pink wearing dominance.
Real men wear pink.
So surprised that somebody just sniped that from it. What team was it? It was a Chinese team, huh?
Spark.
Yeah. They just snagged
their
it
name's
from
Spark too, so
I
it's
don't know.
cool.
If
Oh
I,
man.
I mean, if I were Toronto or sorry Vancouver, and I knew I was going to be picking up Runaway, I would have put in that bid for Pink on day one.
It would have
Just to keep
been smart. It really would have been smart.
the fan base.
Yeah,
Like everybody,
they have a huge like built-in fan base right now. But do you think they're gonna like? You haven't really given your opinion yet, Justin, on if you think they're going to do really well or not.
He
Oh
said, "I
yeah,
don't think they be a top 3 team."
top three,
Oh,
hands
you
down.
think they'll be a top 3 out of all 20?
Yeah, season two. I think they have definitely top three potential.
That is a
There's,
bold prediction.
you got to remember too,
That's
this
what I
team
said.
is, like back in Apex season two, they won season two of Apex, or like came in top. I think it was first or second place. It was purely off a mechanical skill.
But I mean,
This isn't.
so did Team Envious.
Yeah, but you have to remember also, number one, they didn't live together. They never had like team housing, right? They never really had the funding that Envious had. They never really had a sponsorship. So these guys were just grinding it out, building team chemistry over the last year and a half. What team in the Overwatch League has been together for a year and a half? What team has better cohesion than they do at this point? Truthfully,
New
like when you
York,
play that long together.
well,
NYXL and
NYXL comes to
London
mind.
Spitfire. NYXL and London Spitfire. Those are the only two that can compete with that track record
Yeah,
of playing
that's a
together
good point.
consistently with no. And where was NYXL and London Spitfire in season one? At the top of the leaderboards.
Well, London did have its definite rocky road, but
So did NYXL. It was just too late that everybody thought they were just
Sandbagging.
coasting and sandbagging,
yep,
and then
very
we find
true.
out they actually weren't. They just didn't know how to play this meta.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
one thing that Totem brought up in chat is they did have Runner and Flowervin and Runner, those were like the main coaches back in Korea. I don't know if they actually moved to the US with the team, and that's going to be a big factor in their success because that was like the mom and dad of the team.
yeah. And Spider in chat says, "You aren't Yeti for them." See what you did there. I see what you did there. I like it.
Impressive. They're not listed on the organization's coaches right now,
Yeah.
so
I hope they are. I hope
doesn't
they
look
eventually
like it.
make it onto the team, to some capacity. Especially Runner. He deserves it.
Yeah.
And Flowervin. I mean, let's not be biased.
All right. Well,
Um,
we have one last thing to talk about. We
Elections of
have.
justice.
Oh, yes. Actually, yes. Thank you. You go
Yes, you're
ahead and take
welcome.
that.
So they announced today they have announced a teaser of 3 new players. Like, come on, Washington, just get it out. I know you got people signed on your team, like you had to, but they didn't. So we have at DPS, we have Corey and Stratus. Corey comes to us from Gladiators Legion, and I have no idea what he plays. Stratus comes to us from Energy Esports, and he plays Farragenji Tracer esque. And then we have at Tank, they announced Sam, and he's an off tank Diva Zarya main from Meta Athena, Korean contenders. They also gave us 3 coach announcements. So they gave us Aaron, where I'm not sure where he's from. Obasil, who's from Sky Foxes from NA Contenders, and then Shrugger, who is from Gale Force Esports. Not sure. But yeah, they've given us 3 players and now 3 more coaches. And we will keep you posted on the rest.
You said that's Washington, right?
Yeah.
Well, they had already announced like 7 or 8 when they announced DeFran. So they should be
No, that was
about.
Atlanta.
That's Atlanta.
That's Atlanta. Oh my gosh. Sorry.
The only person they had announced previously is Jadis.
Oh
So
yeah.
they have Wizard Young and as their head coach, and then Avila and MKL as their assistant coach and analyst. And then they added these 3 new coaches and 3 new players that they announced yesterday and today.
So they've got 4 coaches for the potential 12 players total.
6 coaches.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's enough staff to bring on an army. I mean, they got,
Justice
like,
will
It's
be
like
regulated.
it's a one-on-one intervention setting that they're going to have here. It's fun.
I think Corey was a flex DPS. I remember him playing a lot of Sombra back in contenders, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. I won't. All right. What was your last thing after our last thing?
The last
Bobby?
thing after the last thing was the esports mystery.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
So last week, Thursday.
Did you keep that a mystery by not putting it in the show notes?
I did.
That's so clever.
Oh, but so I get a ping from the High Noon Discord from Thornrain. He's on the Blackwatch report. They cover contenders. You guys should check him out. I get a ping from him, and he says there's some sort of esports mystery. There's some sort of competition going on, like here in Denver. And I was like, oh my god, are they opening the arena? Like, how did I not hear about this? What's going on? I look at the list of everybody going. I'm like, well, shoot, I know like a third of those people. So I start sending messages. And I mean, Mama Rosa told me she was under NDA. Like afterwards, I was like, you.
Maybe it's because you didn't call her captain.
I should have. I should have said, Captain, my captain, what is going on? But she told me it was
Amateur.
NDA, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then from, I got the gist from other people. There was nothing to cover there. And so as soon as it went live, I saw it was a wedding. A few people guessed Mr. X and Uber. I just guessed
Mr.
Monte.
X. and Uber.
I guessed Monte Cristo or Uber, and turned out to be Monte Cristo got married, and it was a big debate. Did you guys? Do I know Mel caught it? Let's get her thoughts after yours, Justin. Did you catch it?
I didn't actually see it live. I saw like a recap of it. As far as me knowing what was happening, I had sent out a ton of like DMs, like just to friends that were going. Like,
Yep, you did the same thing I did.
What's going on? They're like, can't talk about it. Can't talk about it. Finally, somebody like caved in and was like, dude, just go check Twitter. I forget who had tweeted it out, and I was like, oh, makes sense.
Yeah, they've been married for a year already.
I didn't know that they were married for a year, but I had seen them when I was covering back in season or stage 1. I had seen them in the hallways. Definitely not just friends.
They weren't hiding it.
Yeah, they weren't hiding
in
it
season
there.
1.
Yeah, because
They
we were
before,
there.
though, I think.
We were there stage 3 and interviewed Gesture, thank you. And Susie was the translator, and Monty just comes and walks in and sits down, and we're like, oh my gosh, what's Monty doing here?
Why are you watching us?
That was we'd met him shortly stage 1, but not that up close and personal. It was very short at the bar. He told a great story, and then it was gone. But he comes in, and then we get the word around the grapevine that they're together. Now, I didn't know that they were married. I just assumed they were, and I'm glad I didn't ever tell anybody this, because I said it, like right as soon as they went live in the High Noon Discord, and I was like, and like later on they were talking about it was a secret. Thank you to everybody for not saying anything. I was like, oh my gosh, I just was assuming you guys were married. My bad. But
Oh man.
luckily, I was not too early. So What'd you
It
guys
was a
think
cool
of it,
wedding
though?
event, though. Like, I thought it was funny. They had this whole like Twitch stream area set up where you could go put on headphones with a mic and talk to Twitch chat, which
It was so
I
fun.
I'm
love that
sure
they had
got very dangerous later on in the night because
Dude,
they were pounding
ballsy.
down the
Ballsy stream. Oh my gosh. And the best thing that happened, you guys have to go watch it, is I'm sure you can find the clip, is Sideshow and Bren commentating the toss
yes.
of the bouquet. And literally all the girls, no one reaches for it. They
like,
just
backed up.
literally,
They
you
backed
can
away
watch
from it.
all of their heads follow it straight down. And I mean, they're just going, in
And they
all
were
my
hyping it
years
up.
of wedding casting, oh my gosh. I mean, it was
Well,
great.
they were hyping it up before, like, this is where it gets really intense. This is where the cat claws come out, and like, and then she
Oh,
throws it, and it just drops right in front of like 5 people,
oh.
and they're like,
I
"What is
thought
happening?"
I thought Sideshow was gonna pass out. He turned so red. He's trying so hard not to laugh and just keep it going. Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
god!
But it
that
was
couple
definitely go ahead.
they had somebody like casting the entire ceremony, which was like incredible. Like
Yeah,
it was just fun.
it was a hoot. It was a great thing. Go back and watch a little bit of it, guys. It's really funny.
I thought it was a brilliant idea to get a lot of hype for something and then help pay for your wedding. I thought it was brilliant.
Right?
Why wasn't that around?
No.
Okay.
Sorry,
Oh well.
babe.
Oh well. We could do it again.
We're too old for that. Yeah, we could like act like our marriage has been a secret for the last
Vow
9
renewal?
years.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if we could do that because your family's got like government officials and all that. No, I'm just kidding. They're
I was
just
like,
in the
"What?"
mafia.
Oh my gosh. Get away from me. All right,
I
that'll
am so full
do
of
us
it.
for today.
So Justin, you didn't get to tell us what you thought about it.
No, I thought I mean I thought it was great.
He went first.
I did go first.
You are right. You did go first.
But
Second
it's all
time,
right.
guys. Second time. This won't be in the audio version. You can do magic with audio.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Punishing our Twitch listeners.
Hey, well, this is where you get to see it live. Should do
Raw,
a
uncut footage.
blooper reel where we're like, you know, be great. It'd be good.
What episode have you been on?
There would be no Mel bloopers for sure. But
Right?
that's gonna wrap us up. So you can find us on Twitter at the Owl Recap. You can find us on Twitch. We try to do it Monday nights, but it's been a little up and down the last couple weeks. We'll try to get it regulated back to Monday nights at 9 Eastern. That's twitch.tv/Owl Recap. If you want to come join us in Discord, you can join us squatting in the Omnic Lab Discord at discord.me/OmnicLab. Send us questions to contact@owlrecap.com. Also, one way you can help out the show tremendously is by leaving us a iTunes review, which we just happened to get a new one. Came in December 4th. It's from Brit13579. Says, as a fan of the Overwatch League, it was an absolute dream to come true to find this as I mowed lawns during the summer. Hosts are knowledgeable and energetic and let me see the game from someone else's eyes. All of my friends have gone over to Fortnite as of late, so I have nobody to talk Overwatch with anymore. Oh. Now, a podcast can never substitute for face-to-face conversation, but this podcast still lets me get my fix of analysis, humor, news, and strategy. Thank you so much, Britt. We really appreciate you taking the time to give us a review.
Thanks, Britt.
And then if you really want
And I'm
to...
glad you didn't go to Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay with us. Stay with us.
Not that we're negatively talking about Fortnite, though.
No, we won't do that anymore. If you could
Never
please
do that.
change your review, we would appreciate the person who disliked that. We're sorry. We love Fortnite.
No,
Uh,
that's not true.
so,
move on.
and then if you really want to help out the show, you can become a sponsor and go to patreon.com/Al Recap. It will help us get better equipment. We've got some stuff in the works for this next season that might be really cool. So help us out.
Yeah.
And
Help us get to the finals.
Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch.
All right. And Aid Morrow, where can we find you?
You can find me at on Twitter as well. Aidmaro_OW. It's spelled AIDMARO_OW.
Awesome. Are you going to come back to the show more often here?
I'm gonna make some feeble attempts, so long as you guys are willing to accommodate my schedule, like you did so graciously this evening.
We're so lonely without you. So
Oh, gosh.
lonely, so lonely, so
I will
lonely,
say-
it's sad, so lonely.
I
Oh my gosh.
deeply miss being on the show, and I do appreciate you guys inviting me. Truly, it's been a great experience spending this evening with you.
Yeah, it's been
We've
great for
enjoyed it
us.
too.
And on that, we miss you, iPlay. We will see everyone next week.
Bye.
Later.
All right, that's a wrap. Go ahead and stop recording. And then who should we raid? Totem's been in here, so he must not be on.
Yeah, he records on Tuesdays or on Mondays when we usually record.
True, but he records so much, I just figured he might be recording all over the place.
That's true. He could have another podcast on tonight. I get it.
Let's just do Baby Bay.
Well, Baby Bay doesn't need viewers.
Does before we go, does anybody have any quick questions we can answer? If not, though, I'm freaking tired and hopped up on coffee, although I'm probably not going to go to sleep now because of all the coffee.
He's not blaming you. He's blaming me.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just blaming me for not being able to go to sleep last night.
Can we raid Bonnie?
Bonnie, sure. What you want to post that in Discord for me?
Bonnie OW?
Just post it for me. I don't know how to spell it. Oh, I guess I do.
Was this episode 59?
Yes, sir, it was.
God damn.
BONI, right?
BANIOW.
MP3 or wave?
Underscore OW?
Wave.
Wave, please.
Got it.
No. BANIOW.
Okay. Is he on?
Yeah.
He's only got one viewer? Oh, no, that was us
No.
rating. I was like, what's going on here? All right, guys, tell him we said hi, and thank you, everyone, for coming. The chat was popping. I wasn't able to look at it much just because I'm getting used to hosting, and Totem, people like Totemly Drunk and I play games, and not Rob and Jaw. I'll make it look easy, but it's not easy, especially when you're streaming live. So thank you for your patience, and I will get better. Take
Thanks,
it easy,
guys.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right. He's only got 65. This is a
Save bubbles for the
this
combo.
is it's a decent enough raid.